Hi, welcome to the Goddess Yogini Warrior channel. This channel is dedicated to empower women to heal their body, mind, and spirit, to connect with their inner truth, to recalibrate their inner senses and their intuition, to connect with their true guidance so they can make wiser decisions in their lives. And I am your host, Angelica Kalancha. Today, I picked a very important topic. We're going to talk about how not to get abused or manipulated while being on a spiritual quest. It's a dear topic because I consider myself a spiritual teacher myself, and I've been on a spiritual quest for many years now, and I've learned a lesson or two, and I want to share with you, because I found myself, like, originally I think I was susceptible to dogma, to allow someone to dominate me, to basically to the abuse, because the way I grew up, and those people who have this lack of sense of belonging, deep childhood trauma of abandonment, they will be searching, and they might find themselves they might find themselves in spiritual circles searching for that belonging, for that healing of that inner loneliness, for healing of that inner emptiness, which is basically, they can't fill it up for you. It's just, but you would be going, like, looking for, why am I so miserable, looking for answers, and trying to fill up that hole with spirituality, with intellectualizing, trying to explain. I see lots of people intellectualize, and I've intellectualized as well in the past. It's just like when you try to create some sort of story to make sense of what is happening inside of you. Whereas in my case, all I needed, I was looking for my mother because I lost her, and and essentially I needed my own presence for myself. But it took me years, and let me share with you my story. I'm gonna be short here. I will try to be short because there's a lot. I think I can make a whole documentary series about this. So first, I want to say that I remember, so those people who are prone to getting into toxic relationships, prone to get into narcissistic abusive relationships, to be dominated by someone, they would be prone to get into cults and other things, because it's kind of like, essentially, it's a similar system of control. And on my quest, I remember I was so miserable. I married my my husband, and we were on the bus, and I was on the bus in Sydney, and I saw this monk sweeping the ground in front of the little, I think it was like a Buddhist temple or something. It was a temple. I don't know what it was. He looked like a monk to me, and he was sweeping. And I felt so much peace from him, and I thought, like, this is where I want to go. I don't want to be in my life. I want to go and sweep that floor there. And then I had another thought. I was like, what's preventing you, that was a thought in my head, what's preventing you from sweeping the floor in your own house? And I thought, like, yeah, you're right. essentially, what I want to say is I was looking to escape, to run away from my own problems. And this is a true, clear, like when you are on that search, you need to, it's a fine line there. I was escaping, and all my life I was running away, trying to run away from problems. That's why essentially I left Ukraine. I was on the quest of something, trying to find a better land. But essentially I was running away from my own things, why I couldn't live there. I didn't belong in Ukraine, but guess what? I didn't belong anywhere because I did not belong in myself. And that took me a couple of countries changing. I lived in United States, I lived in Kuwait, I lived in Australia, and I'm still in Australia, until I realized I don't need to run anywhere. The problem, because everywhere I go, I take myself with me. You're not going anywhere, like, you're not going somewhere and then suddenly you're there, you're gonna become Oprah Winfrey or like anyone else. You're still gonna be you. So if you were searching on your spiritual quest and you're looking that you are escaping, it's a warning sign. Because guess what? Your life is the best place for you to be. The problems you have, they are specifically created by you because you are the participant of that. And they are specifically catered to your unique needs to actually make the best out of it. To solve the karmic issues which you have or perpetuated for many lifetimes. You're getting into that problem again over and over. It's like a broken record, and you are there and there's nowhere to run. Until I stopped and I started to face my own things and starting to actually deal with the mess I had. So I give you another example, like running away. I remember that was in Kuwait when I lived with my husband, and we had a bad argument, and he was drunk, and we had arguments every day. And one day I asked my friend if she can buy me a ticket to go to United States to leave him. So she came, picked me up. I was in tears. Her husband bought me a ticket, one-way ticket to New York. And I was sitting, she left me at the airport in Kuwait, and I was sitting there crying. I was crying loudly, and I was so upset. And after I finished crying, I heard a loud voice. I actually don't really hear voices. Hear me, I do not hear voices. Sometimes I wish, where is that voice? But it's not really coming. I think that voice comes only when it's like emergency, and that was an emergency situation. Why? Because that voice, I heard a loud voice, and the voice said, "Where are you going?" And it really brought me to my sense. I was like, oh my God, who's talking? and I was like, I didn't know where I was going. There was nowhere to go. I was done with New York. I was unhappy there. I hated the job, which I left. I didn't like my banking job. I was addicted to shopping, like go back to New York, and I knew like I didn't really want to go back and like start shopping again. And so essentially I had nowhere to go. And I was, that question really put me into like back into my body, into the like, what am I doing? I gotta resolve this issue. For some reason I felt inside that it is essential that I resolve something with this man. And because on many occasions I tried to leave him, and something inside of me was holding. And now, look in retrospect, I'm glad I went back, because the lessons this man taught me, they was gold. I earned these lessons not easy. I almost got destroyed myself. And I would never advise to stay when there is a physical abuse. At that time, we just had bad arguments. There was no physical abuse. But I had to learn. The problem inside of me was, and I was very much aware at that time, that I was going from one man to another. And none of them was good. And for me, let's put it this way, they were men, you know. I don't want to criticize them. I don't even want to criticize my ex-husband. The problem was in me, and I knew it. And I didn't know what it exactly was. There was a lot of inner things. And this man was bringing up to the surface everything. He was basically turning me like inside out. He was pointing to every mistake and every weakness in me. And I was just falling apart there. I could not handle him, all right? And I went back. I went back, and I stayed the next 9 years to discover my truth. Because through that, I do not advise suffering. Please don't get this message wrong. What I advise is accept your path, the one you are creating. There's no need to go find someone else's path, because guess what? Even when I remember when I was in Sydney and living with my ex-husband, and many times I would look and sort of fantasize, I would go in ashram and stay there and meditate all the time, and I will come back. I will find that meaning. I will solve the issues what I have. I hated my life, you know. And I remember I was researching about this ashram, and then I don't know, the spirit was always guiding me here. Like, I found this book where a woman was sharing how she got abused in an ashram, and I read about it, and I'm like, do I really need to go to ashram to give up everything, to endure the same treatment as my ex-husband is treating me here? You need to solve those things inside, and assuming responsibility for your life. See, at that time, I wasn't really taking responsibility for my life. Who was living that life? Who was making the choices? Who was saying yes? I was saying that. The no, when I was saying no to his abuse, was coming like emotional. I was erratic. I could not control my emotions, my anger, I was a mess, right? And I was a victim. I was a perpetual victim. And I needed to find my power, to reconnect with it. And that was the best situation. And now in retrospect, I'm just looking, look, that man twisted me like into some sort of, I twisted myself into a pretzel. I went into, I think I reached like this ground zero from which I connected inside to my power. And I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I just need to say a firm no to this. Maybe I need to just take responsibility. The word responsibility came later, after I left him. But the lesson was when I connected to my truth and when I felt that I can say no to this, it was done. I was out with the spiritual help. I mean, it's just the angels, whatever, you know, I was out. Within a couple of weeks, I was out of the relationship. That's the power of spirituality. But get me right that you need to understand this Any spiritual teacher who is going to point you like, you are creating that. Why don't you go take a look and you take care of your karma? You know, this is all of your fault, you know. This is abuse. You don't need this kind of spiritual teacher. because if the spiritual teacher is not giving you a true feedback, it's giving you this criticism and like, you know, it's your karma and you've got to, look, it's not, leave that teacher. That's not the right teacher. That's not the right teacher. The teacher needs to guide and help you find your answers. The teacher should not tell you what to do. And because I am a teacher myself, right? It's a fine line for the teacher to walk and be in that integrity. I'm going to mention this book. I have to mention Yogi Bhajan because that's why I'm not wearing my turban today. I do love turban just because it helps with managing the energy, the way the energy flows, the energy flow. But I put a hat on because I also love hats sometimes, but most of the time I wear nothing, all right? Yogi Bhajan was a great man, and but he had his faults, obviously. I read this book, Premka, the White Bird in a Golden Cage. So this book was about the story how Premka stayed with Yogi Bhajan for so many years. She was with him from the very beginning. And look, anything which involves sexual connection with the leader, it's not good. You are gonna get hurt. Yogi Bhajan was married, all right? So that was in the beginning, right? The way he treated her and all of that. And then another thing, when they tell you that she wanted to leave on many occasions and he wouldn't allow her to leave. If you want to leave, you have to go, and you leave. This is just not right. And he would tell her that, oh, in the past life you were, I don't exactly remember anything. She was like a princess or something, and he was her servant, and he said, you tempted me sexually or something like that. Anyway, but this is like, because he'll say like, I can read the Akashic records and I can see that. Anyone who is telling you these kind of things, it's a red flag, because a true teacher should go beyond the karma. A true teacher should intuitively tune in into you and give you guidance, and not telling you this, or you gotta go and like pointing you with your nose into your own shit, what you need to take care of. No, the teacher has to give you guidance and help you find out your own truth. Because if you don't see it, if someone else is pointing you, it's abuse, okay? Yeah. It's not something like, and if they financially try to like take a lot of finances from you, look, again, it's a fine line here. You need to listen to your inner guidance. If something is not right, if something feels icky, yucky, don't go. Don't do it. And if they tell you, to help you heal, I've got to engage in a sexual connection with you, it's bullshit, okay? Give up all your boundaries, give up all of your, no, give up your family and other things. So last year I walked away from my Kundalini Yoga community. I still practice Kundalini Yoga, but with my own inner guidance and with my own inner integrity. I went through a lot of Shaktipat, and the reason I left my teachers is because they were creating the patterns which I experienced with my mother. And the way they were treating me, it was abusive. There was no heart connection there. There was more criticism. There was more like pointing me to my shortcomings. And yes, I know I wasn't perfect and all of that. But I needed a true intuitive guidance. Even though their guidance was good, the way it was said and the way it was presented, it really didn't sit well with me. And I walked away. So I don't regret that I walked away. I worked for the whole year with Kimberly Sherry, who became my mentor. And because it was a difficult year, and I really needed some guidance and help. And I still encourage for you to seek guidance and help. And this is going to be praise for my mentor, the way she guided me. It was in the most beautiful and loving way. Because she didn't tell me what to do. We did healings. She was striving to help me find my own connection. Throughout the year, and I'm meant to write my journey, I had a lot of, I went into a lot of dead ends, and I found my way out of those dead ends. And through that, Kimberly really supported me. It was no criticism. It was no like, you you're walking your karma, or you got a lot of control and this and that. Look, I was working through a lot of my own inner things, but a true teacher will hold that, not just because holding the space is like as if you can't hold the space. We'll be just present there for you. We'll be present for you and guiding you with patience, right? And intuitively tuning in into your needs until you find your answers. This is true empowering. She did not take my power away. And that's what I love. And this is essentially what I want to have it stressed it out with this video, that you need to find, and Kimberly walks the talk for sure. She does her own healing, and she has her path, right? So you need to seek the teacher who walks the talk. You can't seek someone, they like to talk about it, they can't, and we like to fix other people's problems, but if you did not do your own healing, you can't take someone else there. You promised you're going to take them there, but where if that person didn't reach that place within themselves? So it's important. Now, what Kimberly did, and what I wanted to say is, she calibrates. She calibrated how does Kundalini Yoga vibrate with me, because I had to, I questioned everything last year, because things were not, I was not prepared to walk, to be treated the way I was treated in my yoga community. I didn't want to take that kind of treatment from my teachers anymore. And I started to question, maybe this practice is not for me. And she looks into the vibration. You can calibrate. You can do it yourself. You can ask, how does this practice vibrate with me? And see what kind of number you're going to take, you're going to get. You use the Hawking scale. but the Kimberly scale is to infinity, and it was still vibrating really good with me. So I'm still doing my sadhana. I'm still doing my practice, and with the way I pick kriyas right now, I look how they vibrate with me, and then I do it. If I get an infinity, a high vibration, then yes, it vibrates with me really well. So you need to check, because there is so many things. There is so many. You need to say, how does it vibrate with you? Because it's interesting, this syndrome of shiny objects, everyone is gonna promise you like heavens and all sorts of things, including me. Anyway, this is my truth, and you need to see how does it resonate with you, how does it vibrate with you. Because if the vibration is low, you're just not gonna get much. But if the vibration is like 250, that's very low, as you're gonna get abused there. It's not good. Anything lower than 500, run. Don't go there. I would also advise you can ask if the teacher has a heart 100% open. If the heart is grounded, does the teacher have a grounding cord? Lots of them don't have grounding cords, right? Is the teacher 100% in the body? They can be like somewhere here. They will be teaching you lots of rubbish. Some of that is going to be good, but lots of it is going to be rubbish. How many creative rings does the teacher have? Then if they have like only like 3 rings, it's not much they can deliver. They don't have access to higher consciousness. They can pretend that they do have access. So these are the things. You need to be very careful who you follow, and follow your inner guidance, and trust yourself. Accept your path, that your path you don't really need to go. Don't run away from your own problems. Do not seek someone to fix your problems. Seek someone who can actually guide you, to connect to your own guidance, so you find your solutions. And this is the true empowerment. This is what you want. You do not want some sort of like, they're not going to play. If they say La La Land, if they say, oh, this self-perpetual love, unconditional love, that and that, is no boundaries, there is nothing there. Yeah, this is utopian thing. We live in a society, we have our own boundaries and reality, and when they start condemning the government, or when they start waiting for something is going to happen, and like the golden age suddenly is going to happen and we're going to be liberated or whatever, I don't buy into those. Yes, there is darkness, and I clear that myself, and yes, they do dominate. Yes, they do have, well, not exactly, they don't dominate that much right now. Most of them actually left the planet. This is quoting Kimberly Sherry, but I want to say that we need to take responsibility for our own life. So you need to take responsibility for your life. How are you creating it, and what are you doing? And yeah, you create golden age in your own life. Don't wait someone to come and create it for you. You're not going to find it, and you're certainly not going to find it in an ashram, because I've heard all sorts of different stories on women getting abused there, and sexually abused, and it's, you will find, because you can't. Last point I want to say, that when I started this business, and I started like interacting with spiritual people, spiritual people and not spiritual people are the same. It comes to personal integrity. If you think in the spiritual world someone is going to treat you better than in the real world, I mean in the non-spiritual world, you are up to really not funny discovery. Okay? They're not going to wrap you up in cotton wool. Well, they can sort of pretend that they're going to wrap you up in cotton wool, but you will have to face your karmic patterns. They're going to start showing up no matter where you go. And this is what I want to say. It's kind of like It's not a fatality, because karma is your personal inner guidance. It's things which are important to you. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I think it's your shortcut to enlightenment, let's put it this way. It's a shortcut to your own connection. That's the best path for you. All right? And you better accept it and learn to walk it with joy and ease. And that's all for today. If you love this long video, please click like and leave me your comments. And yeah, I would love to hear your views. And until we see each other again, bye for now.